Hey everybody, Ben here for the Bonehead podcast and welcome to Theory Thursday. So every Thursday we get together and we have a bit of a deep dive into one part of Blood Bowl. Whether it's stats or strats, we spend a bit of time together and we have a look and see what we can learn about this game that we love. So Dungeon Bowl was released a few months ago, and one of the things that was sneaky hidden in the rule set was a few skills that no one had ever seen before. Now we've got a big Dungeon Bowl tournament coming up in May, and we're also going to be doing a Dungeon Bowl series soon too, so it seemed like a good opportunity to dig out those hidden Dungeon Bowl skills and talk about what they do. So in Dungeon Bowl, one of the very unique and really quite cool but also terrifyingly dangerous, if you guys have seen any of the games that we've already filmed and shown, that one game where I was the College of Shadows and my guys just kept getting lost in the teleporters. When you jump onto a teleporter pad, you roll a dice. There's 6 teleporters in the game, so the number that you roll is where you come out. If you roll the same number as the teleporter that you are on, well, your player gets lost in space and is removed for the rest of the game. That happened to me several times with some pretty important player pieces, actually. Now, that's where this skill here comes in. So Portal Navigator is a general skill. When this player teleports using a teleporter, they may reroll the d6 to determine which portal they teleport to. That's it. So I've put here, reduces teleporter death, and let me tell you, that is a very useful thing. But when it comes to Dungeon Bowl, you've got the map. Now, being able to have 2 chances to get where you want to go is going to be massive, because the way Dungeon Bowl kind of plays out is you deploy your vanguard, you deploy your first 6 players. They spread out into the dungeon, they form the castle, which is the kind of first stage defense normally, or you're a fast team and you spread out quickly. But you will be bringing on players later in the game, one every turn, generally speaking. Now, once these guys are on the board, you really need to get them where the action is. And when it's Dungeon Bowl, there's going to be pockets of action going on. So being able to jump on a portal, on a teleporter, and just be able to re-roll it if it goes horribly wrong would be amazing. But secondly, if you've got this on a player that is there to score, or a really good blitzer, it's not the kind of skill you really want to put on a big guy. If you've got a general skill that you can put on a big guy, I still think something like block is the best way to go. But if you've got a human blitzer or a war dancer or a gutter runner whose main job is to get where the action is, get to the end zone, get to that position where you can score and win the game, then actually Portal Navigator is pretty huge. Imagine this, you bring on your War Dancer and you've got an opportunity then to have twice the shots to get to where the scrum is, so that you can leap in there, do some shenanigans, just be horrible and block and dodge, or just get yourself in a position where you can leap into the end zone and receive that touchdown. Portal Navigator is going to be a very useful skill, and if you're coming to the Dorset Dungeon Bowl, genuinely consider bringing at least one player with this, because I think it's going to be able to just allow you to deploy your dudes, or one dude anyway, exactly where you need them. And the second skill we've got here is a passing skill, and this is give and go. Now this is a skill that genuinely could just be in standard Blood Bowl. The player can hand off the ball and then keep moving afterwards. So it's the same as running pass basically, but this is for handoffs. Now I would prefer it if running pass worked with a handoff and that was it and you didn't need an extra skill, but I didn't write this game, so we have got a second skill here. That said, this is going to be a really useful skill, or at least it would be a really useful skill if you could use this in Blood Bowl. Okay, in Standard 11's Blood Bowl this would be amazing. In Dungeon Bowl, is this going to be all that useful a skill? Is this going to be better than running pass? You know what? Where you fight in Dungeon Bowl, there is a smaller area to move around. There's smaller spaces for your combat to happen. And being able to kind of bring up a dude, hand the ball off, and then go jam that thrower, that ball carrier, into a position to block or give an assist. You know, I can definitely see this being a skill that you can use to run up, hand the ball off to one of your blitzers, go and position the person who had the ball in the first place, and then use that person to give you a +1 assist for the blitzer to blitz through. So it's a useful skill in that case. Is it better than some of the other skills in the game? I don't know. I think I'd rather just have accurate if I was going to take a passing skill. But the ability to kind of take 2 turns with one player is never going to be a small thing, especially in DB where you're going to have, I don't know, maybe 8 players on the pitch at any one time. Being able to do a thing and then carry on afterwards to redeploy is going to be useful. Not all the time, but every now and again it's really going to come in clutch. And we've got another throwing skill here, another passing skill. This is Portal Passer. So during its activation, when this player teleports using a portal, it may declare a pass action after you have determined which teleporter pad you're going to come out at. What? So basically, in Blood Bowl, in Dungeon Bowl, when you activate a guy, you have to say, I'm going to blitz with him, I'm going to pass with him, I'm going to hand off with him, I'm going to foul with him. Now, if you've got a ball and you're going through a teleporter, it could be advantageous to not declare that you're going to throw anyway, because you may want to keep your passing action for something else, like a throw teammate, for example. So this is a real corner case, Now, in that circumstance where your Skaven thrower bamps through a portal, comes out in a really good spot, and you're like, actually, yeah, I could do with throwing this ball now, then yeah, it's going to be useful. But if you're in that situation, the likelihood is you kind of declare throw anyway. I'm going to throw with this guy, and I'm going to hope he comes out on the right teleporter pad. In that circumstance, well, I think I'd rather just have portal, the portal skill that allows you just to choose to re-roll the dice. You've got double the chance of coming out where you want to come out, and if you've already declared pass, then you're good to go. Portal Navigator. I think I'd rather take Portal Navigator than Portal Passer. It's an interesting skill. I don't think we're going to see it a lot, because I think the Navigator skill just brings you to where you're likely to want to go anyway, and if you declare pass with your thrower who's got the ball, you're pretty much good to go. Now, one thing that it can do, and this is definitely something to consider, is you're going for a walk with a dude, okay, the portal passer. You're going for a walk with your wood elf thrower, with your human thrower, and actually you come out by the ball. You can then declare to make that pass action, and you might be able to get away with it. So in that regard, it's going to be useful, but if you've got a thrower and you think there's a likelihood you might want to throw the ball anyway, just do that and take Portal Navigator instead. And the last Dungeon Bowl only skill is Wall Thrower. Now this is a passing skill, again, and all it does is give you a +1 modifier when you are throwing the ball off the wall. So Dungeon Bowl is amazing. You can skip that ball off walls, you can bounce it around, and it's actually a really cool mechanic. It's a really good way to stretch out your ability to put the ball where you kind of... It's actually better at putting the ball where you don't want it to be rather than where you do want it to be. But being able to do that with a +1 modifier is actually pretty good. That said, I think if you're running accurate, you're probably as good anyway, because you can only make short or quick passes in Dungeon Bowl, and accurate's just going to be more beneficial to you being able to throw the ball to someone that you want to throw it to. So Wall Thrower, a bit of a miss, but that is what it does. Now, I don't know if we've already had a look at how to bounce the ball off walls or not. We should probably do a Theory Thursday on that, especially as there's going to be more Dungeon Bowl kicking around soon anyway. Wall Thrower, a little bit of a miss for me. I mean, when it comes to these skills, the throwing, passing skills are really challenging. There's a couple of really good ones in the game, you know. Accurate, for example. Accurate, leader, on the ball. On the ball, of no use in this one. Leader, of limited use. I mean, a reroll is always quite useful. It's less useful in Dungeon Bowl because there's no half. But ultimately, this skill here is absolutely one that you need to be aware of. If you are running a Dungeon Bowl team, if you've got that general skill, if you're running a Dungeon Bowl league and you've got people developing, actually the more Portal Navigators you've got, the better the better you'll be able to operate when you're in the dungeon. It's a really interesting one. This skill set here works for Dungeon Bowl. It's all applicable for Dungeon Bowl, and actually they're all going to be useful at times. But I think Portal Navigator is going to be useful most of the time for your scoring threats, for your blitzers, because anyone you need to be in a specific place Portal Navigator is going to help you get there. So before we wrap up the video, I thought it'd be useful to kind of talk through the elements of a dungeon ready for Dungeon Bowl. So this is one of the preset maps that we're using for the Dorset Dungeon Bowl. The whole point of this is it's symmetrical. We've got the mats printed out so that you don't have to build the dungeons in between rounds. We've just got a few dungeons that are preset, so they're going to be equal for everybody on every single table at every single point. Kind of useful when you're running a tournament. But for example, if we're looking at that skill portal passer, you've got all these guys numbered down there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so say your guys down here and you run up here and you jump into portal 2 and everything's going on over here. Well, it gives you twice the opportunity to roll that 5. If you roll a 4 or a 6 or a 1 or a 2, not a lot of good. So it actually gives you that other opportunity to roll a 4, a 5 or a 3 and get somewhere closer to the danger, to the carnage, to where you want to go. So in that regard, actually, I think it's a really useful skill. Because the way Dungeon Bowl kind of plays out is you deploy your 6 here, they spread out, they form the castle defense, and then you explore the dungeon with your reserves as they kind of drop in, as they kind of deep strike in through the different teleporters. Now, as for whether it counts for when you drop a guy in, I don't believe it does, because you're not teleporting using a teleporter pad, you're teleporting using the dugout. So it only works when you are in the dungeon. But you drop a guy in, and then actually, if you want to bring up one of your reserves and use that portal, it's going to mean you're twice as likely to end up somewhere near where you want to be. Okay, so there you have it, the Dungeon Bowl exclusive skills in the Dungeon Bowl rulebook for the Dungeon Bowl version of the Blood Bowl game. They're alright. Portal Passer, going to be pretty useful, and if you're going to a tournament, if you're playing in a league, definitely one to watch out for. The other ones kind of probably got a better choice of skills. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think of Dungeon Bowl and the Dungeon Bowl only skills, and whether or not you'd run that handoff one in standard Blood Bowl, or whether they should just change running past to include handoffs. I think they probably should. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. We'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy Dungeoneering! Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to help support the channel even further, please like and subscribe, or come join us on our Patreon. We have early access to content. We get loads of feedback from you guys, and we try and do competitions as much as we can. Or you can get yourself some Bonehead podcast merch on our Spreadshirt site. So if you want to support a team, especially for the Bonehead Championship, you can pick up a shirt, a mug, things like that. It all helps support the channel, and we really appreciate it. Anyway, links below. Thank you very much. Happy blocking.